The foundation of all achievement isn't strategy, connections, or even hard work. Jim Rohn discovered its character, specifically 5 pillars of character he developed that transformed him from struggling farm boy to millionaire mentor. I challenge you to implement just one of these 5 pillars for the next 7 days. The results have been so powerful for my viewers that many report significant changes in both their professional success and personal fulfillment. Are you ready to build your unshakable character? What exactly transforms an ordinary farm boy from Idaho into a millionaire mentor whose teachings influence millions? The answer lies not in strategy or connections, but in something far more fundamental: character development. Jim Rohn's early life offers us a window into his transformation. Born into a farming family in Idaho, Rohn learned the value of hard work early. Despite this solid foundation, by his mid-20s, he found himself working as a department store clerk, earning just $57 a week. As he often recounted in his seminars, he was constantly experiencing too much month at the end of the money, a predicament many can relate to. His paycheck simply couldn't stretch to cover his modest expenses. The paradox was striking. Here was a young man with a tremendous work ethic cultivated through years of farm labor, yet he struggled financially and couldn't seem to break through his circumstances. Something was missing from his equation for success. The turning point came when Rohn was 25. A friend invited him to hear a lecture by entrepreneur Earl Schoaf, who would become his mentor. This pivotal meeting changed the trajectory of Rohn's life. Unlike other success speakers who focused on techniques and strategies, Schoaf revealed something profound to the young Rohn. His external circumstances were merely a reflection of his internal character. Success is not something you pursue, Schoaf taught him. Success is something you attract by the person you become. This insight struck Rohn like lightning. He had been focusing on changing his circumstances when he should have been focusing on changing himself. Under Schoaf's guidance, Rohn began a deliberate journey of character development. He started investing in books, attending seminars, and most importantly, applying what he learned. He transformed his thinking patterns, developed discipline in his financial habits, and cultivated a philosophy of personal responsibility. This transformation wasn't immediate or magical. It took Rohn 5 years of consistent, deliberate character development before he achieved his first million by age 31. The pattern became clear. While others around him scrambled for quick strategies and shortcuts, Rohn focused on internal development. His experience proved that character precedes achievement. This approach stood in stark contrast to conventional wisdom. Society often tells us that success comes from external factors, having the right opportunities, knowing the right people, or simply getting lucky. Rohn discovered the opposite truth. Lasting success comes from who you become. Perhaps most importantly, Rohn's journey demonstrates that character isn't something inherited or fixed at birth. Rather, it's deliberately constructed through daily choices and the consistent application of fundamental principles. He didn't wait for character to appear. He built it intentionally, brick by brick, choice by choice. As Rohn began sharing his insights with others, a pattern emerged among those who followed his teachings. The students who focused on external strategies alone found temporary success at best. Those who embraced character development, like a young Tony Robbins who attended Rohn's seminar at 17, went on to achieve extraordinary results across multiple areas of life. Rohn distilled this philosophy into a principle that would become one of his most famous quotes: "Work harder on yourself than you do on your job." This wasn't about neglecting professional responsibilities, but rather recognizing that personal growth creates the foundation for all other forms of success. Your income, relationships, and impact, Rohn taught, rarely exceed your personal development. He often illustrated this with a simple observation. If someone hands you $1 million, you'd better quickly develop a millionaire mindset, or it will flow through your fingers. Character development isn't just about achieving success. It's about becoming the kind of person who can maintain and build upon success once it arrives. Character sounds admirable in theory, but what exactly does it look like in practice? Jim Rohn identified 5 specific pillars that separate those who achieve lasting success from those who experience only temporary wins or continual frustration. And the difference often comes down to choices most people avoid making. What made Rohn's approach to character development so powerful wasn't philosophical abstraction, but practical application. His system wasn't meant to be admired from a distance, but implemented daily through specific actions. Each pillar represents a fundamental principle that, when practiced consistently, forms the foundation of an unshakable character that naturally attracts success. The challenge lies in their implementation. These pillars often require uncomfortable choices that directly oppose our desire for immediate gratification. This discomfort explains why so few develop the character necessary for lasting achievement. They simply aren't willing to make the difficult choices required day after day. The first pillar, self-discipline, serves as what Rohn called the bridge between goals and accomplishment. Rather than viewing discipline as restriction, Rohn saw it as the essential structure that enables freedom. His own disciplined approach manifested in practical systems like his famous 70-30 rule for finances. By living on 70% of his income, saving 10%, investing 10%, and giving 10%, he established a framework that turned financial management from an abstract concept into a concrete daily practice. This systematic approach simplified complex financial decisions into manageable habits anyone could follow. Integrity forms the second pillar, the alignment between what you say and what you do. Rohn didn't just preach about keeping commitments. He meticulously tracked his promises in personal journals he called his Book of Life. This practice ensured he maintained his word even when inconvenient or difficult. By writing down commitments, Rohn created accountability to himself first, embodying his belief that your word is your bond. This reflection practice allowed him to consistently align his actions with his stated values. The third pillar, resilience, represents the ability to transform obstacles into opportunities. When facing inevitable setbacks, Rohn applied his principle. Don't wish it were easier, wish you were better. This mindset shift, viewing challenges as growth opportunities rather than unfair burdens, allowed him to bounce back from early career struggles. Instead of being defeated by difficulties, he saw them as necessary strengthening experiences. Resilience became not just enduring hardship, but actively learning and improving through it. Accountability stands as the fourth pillar, perhaps the most difficult for many to embrace. Rohn rejected victim mentality entirely, insisting that, for things to change, you have to change. This principle required him to take full responsibility for his circumstances without blaming external factors. His remarkable transformation from struggling clerk to millionaire wasn't the result of favorable conditions, but of his willingness to own his situation completely. This accountability mindset eliminated excuses and focused energy entirely on solutions within his control. The fifth pillar, continuous growth, powered Rohn's lifelong evolution. His commitment to learning extended far beyond formal education, as captured in his observation that formal education will make you a living. Self-education will make you a fortune. Rohn maintained a rigorous self-education routine through reading broadly, attending seminars, and actively seeking mentorship. This dedication to growth transformed him from a farm boy with limited formal education into a philosophical teacher whose influence spans generations. These 5 pillars, discipline, integrity, resilience, accountability, and continuous growth, formed the foundation of Rohn's character-based approach to success. Each pillar represented not just a concept to understand, but a principle to live by through specific daily practices. Together, they created a framework that transformed not just his external circumstances, but his fundamental identity. The wisdom of Jim Rohn wasn't complicated. It was profound in its simplicity. His teachings reveal that character isn't built through grand gestures, but through consistent, daily choices that compound over time. As he famously said, "Success is nothing more than a few simple disciplines practiced every day." This insight cuts through the noise of complex strategies and shortcuts, reminding us that unshakable character emerges from humble, repeated actions. The legacy of Rohn lives on through his students like Tony Robbins and Darren Hardy, who transformed their lives not through dramatic overnight changes, but through the patient application of these principles. Their journeys from ordinary beginnings to extraordinary achievements demonstrate the power of Rohn's approach. Now the question turns to you. Which pillar will you commit to strengthening over the next week? Will you focus on discipline, integrity, resilience, accountability, or continuous growth? Remember that meaningful transformation doesn't require dramatic upheaval, just a single choice followed by another and another. Your character development begins right now with the next decision you make.